Finding diameter of a circle. So in this case, they've given us the circumference of a circle. Okay, so they told us the circumference, which in other words means starting here and going all the way around. It's going to kind of zoom in. That is the circumference of our circle, the distance around the object, right? Now they want us to find, in this question, what? The diameter. So they want to know what the diameter is. Well, luckily we have a formula that deals with circumference. We usually know it as our perimeter formula, but we can also call it circumference, okay? So the circumference is equal to the diameter times pi. Well, this is good because the goal here was to find the diameter, and that's exactly what this letter stands for. That letter stands for diameter. So we want to isolate that letter, okay? Now, they've also told us that the circumference is 28. And there's a letter in this formula that stands for circumference. That's C. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace C with the value of 28. So we get 28 is equal to the diameter multiplied. When it's just written beside each other, it means multiplied, right? Multiplied by pi. Okay, good. We've gotten a value. Now, when we're trying to isolate a value, what we want to do is move everything else from that side of the equation, on that side of the equal sign, to the other side. We want the d to be by itself. So I need to move pi. Well, since this is diameter times pi, that's right. Now, technically, what we do is divide both sides by pi. Okay? And the reason we do this, whatever you do to one side, you must do to another. So that's one of the rules, okay? What's happening here is pi divided by pi, usually you guys call it canceling out. It's known as creating a 1, but you're right. The fast way to remember it is canceling out. So now we're left with the diameter is equal to 28 divided by pi. All right, that's where our calculators kind of kick in here. Let me take out our calculator. We have 28 divided by pi equals 8.91, we'll say. So 8.91, and we've got to see what units this was in. It was in meters. So in other words, this is the center of the circle, and the diameter is all the way across, right? That means that that distance is 8.91 meters. It's a pretty long distance because it's in meters, but that's how you would do that. You got to reverse the formula. Let's say, now that they've given us something like that, I'm just going to jump to another page quickly. Let's say now they've given us a circle, but in this case, they still want us to find the diameter, but they've now told us a little bit of different information. They said the area of this circle, area is, let's say, 50 meters squared. Okay? So 50 meters squared is the area, and they want us to find the diameter. Okay? Well, we had another formula remembered, right? The area of a circle was equal to pi r squared. Now, there's a bit of a problem because there's a disconnect. We want to find diameter, but nowhere in this formula have they given us something that represents diameter, right? That's not involved in the area formula. So, we need to pick a piece of this formula that is related to diameter. Are any of these related to diameter? No? Let's think about distances of circles here. So we know diameter is all the way across a circle, right? Is there anything else that's...
Oh, wait, yeah.
What is it?
The radius.
The radius, you're right.
It's just half.
Aha. So the radius is considered half of the diameter. So our goal here is going to be to find the radius, and then how can we relate the radius to diameter? If we are trying to find the diameter, what would we have to do to the radius? We'll have to use some operation. Do you remember what we did before?
Divide it.
It wouldn't be dividing the radius, because remember the radius is shorter. Oh. We need to make it longer. So what would we multiply the radius by to get the diameter?
The 50 meter? No.
So if let's say...
Wouldn't the radius be 25?
Not in this case. But let's say, just for argument's sake, that the radius was 2. If the radius is 2, what must the diameter be? Because the radius is half as long. 4. So what did you do to that radius to figure that out?
Times 2.
You multiply times 2. We're going to have to multiply the radius times 2. So our first goal will be to find the radius, And then whatever it is, we're going to have to multiply it times 2 to find the diameter. So we have to do a lot of connecting in this question. Okay? So they have given us some pieces of information for area. One of the pieces they gave us is what the actual area is equal to. The actual area is equal to 50. 50 meters squared, but we don't have to put the unit of measurement in. So we're going to replace area with 50 is equal to pi times r squared. Okay. Now remember, our goal is we're trying to find radius in this question because that's how we're going to figure out diameter. So when we do that, we want to move everything to the other side. So the first thing we're going to move is that pi. And how can I move pi to the other side?
Divide it.
That's right. So we're going to divide this side by pi. Technically, we divide both sides by pi, but what happens to the pi's on the right?
Cancel.
That's right. Good. So now we have 50 divided by pi is equal to r, and it still has that squared value. Okay? Let's figure out what 50 divided by pi is. 50 divided by pi equals, we're going to say 15.91, okay? So 15.91 is equal to the radius squared. But radius isn't by itself yet. I got to move the squared to the other side of the equation. Okay? How would I move squared? Do you know what the opposite operation of a squared is? It's a tough one. Okay. The opposite operation of squared is actually known as a square root. So we're going to square root both sides. What's going to happen over here is the square root and the squared are going to cancel each other out. And we're going to be left with just r, which is our radius. That's what we were trying to find. Okay? And I have to find the square root of that value we had before, 15.91. Well, in your calculator, it's a button that looks like that. Okay? So lucky for me, I just have to hit it and it'll get it for me. So the square root of that value is 3.9, and we're rounded up to 9. 3.99, it's almost 4. 3.99. Okay? We can almost say approximately. That's the value. That's what the symbol means, approximately. We're going to say it's approximately 4. Okay? But that's the radius. Have we found the diameter yet?
No.
No. So remember, our hypothetical was the radius is 2. Well, that's not the case. The radius is actually 4 in this question. So what would the diameter be?
8
And how did you find that?
times that. Or
Yeah, you multiplied the radius by 2, so the diameter ended up being 8. And what's our unit of measurement?
meters.
Meters. So it's 8 meters. Okay. So that's how you find diameter, whether you're given the circumference or you're given the area of a circle. Okay?